Okay, everybody. Hello there and good morning. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Am I live or am I just talking into a dead microphone? Anyone? All right, beautiful. Beautiful. That's fantastic. This is my first time, and it is a little strange doing all this. I normally have the luxury of recording, and if something doesn't work, on a technical level, it's no big deal. You just fix it, and nobody's around to see. But today is a little different because you all made time to come here, and I really appreciate that. So hopefully we can all have a good time. Now, I had said all along this was going to be a Q&A. We don't have a ton of people here, so if we don't have enough questions to keep going for a huge amount of time, that's okay too. One idea I had is we may end up doing some gameplay at some point. I don't want to go for a long time, maybe an hour or so today overall, but it's a thing we can keep in mind. But having said that, if you do have any questions, go ahead and post those in the comments. That would be great. And see if we can get this party started. By the way, I put the gameplay footage you're seeing on the screen. That's an old video that I recorded. I think it's part 19 from my War of the Chosen playlist. So I'm not currently distracted by having to play an XCOM mission. So, all right. I am not seeing any new, there we go. Thank you, Comrade Skeever. I appreciate that. I'll go ahead and start. There was one question that was left on the announcement that I posted, and it's kind of a big one. He asked, what inspired me to do content creation, and how did my opinion of it change as the channel grew in size? So wowza, that's a big question. So what inspired me to do content creation? It actually goes back to XCOM when I was playing Enemy Unknown, and I really struggled with that game, and I was looking for anything that would help me play better. And in my case, I found videos on YouTube. That was kind of my introduction to the whole concept of a Let's Play. I was just trying to find a tutorial or something like that, but I didn't really find any of those. But I did find some people who were playing the game. And kind of a combination of my appreciation for those videos just existing in the first place, and then my love of Enemy Unknown is what started me thinking about, doing a channel and making videos like that myself. In the beginning, I really was pretty much just pure Let's Play. And then I guess as I grew, what's mostly changed is kind of my expectations of what's possible. Because back then I thought, hey, if I could have a few thousand subscribers and, like a couple hundred people watch my videos and maybe have a few comments so I have some kind of conversation going with people, that would really be cool. And it is like, just honestly, just that, as far as I'm concerned, you're already successful on YouTube. If you achieve that, you're not going to earn a living, but that's not why I started a channel in the first place. But anyway, fast forwarding, now I have a multiple of what I thought was possible once upon a time. And, I now see that I am capable of making videos that can get a lot more views than that. I am capable of drawing more subscribers than that. So recently, the most recent XCOM 2 video I did, I kind of made that partly because I said something I wanted to say. It was an idea I'd had in my head for a long time, but also it was a video, like I incorporated film clips and stuff like that because I realized there's ways to make videos that I hate the word engage because it gets overused so much, but it is more, it forms more of a connection with people. And it also helped express what I was trying to say, I think, more deeply. So anyway, when I published that, I fully expected that it would get tens of thousands of views right away. And it got 100,000 views in the first month, which, listen, there's channels that would get that in an hour. But for me, that's a big deal. You know, to make a video that gets 100,000 views is a lot. So I think that's something I'm capable of doing more. So I want to make better videos. I want to make videos that really resonate with people. As a consequence of that, they'll get more views, which is great. But that really is better as a byproduct than it is, you know, as a goal, as your primary starting point. So, all right, that's probably enough on that. That came from Dusto von Susto. Thank you for that question. Let's go to some of the ones in chat. How old am I? I'm not sure I want to get quite that specific. I'm probably not quite as old as I look, to be honest. I've always looked older than I am. And my mom in particular went gray at a very young age. I followed suit. But I do think it's safe to say that, well, let me just put it this way. I have never watched a channel where the person, like a gaming channel at least, is as old as I am or even as close to old as I am. When was the last time I played XCOM? Last night. I have been playing XCOM 2 off camera. And I will give you a little bit of a scoop here. I actually tried to start recording a Let's Play series. And unfortunately, after my first episode, while I was editing it, I just felt like it's not good. It's not good enough. My gameplay kind of sucks. My commentary is kind of boring here. Like, I'm just not feeling it. This isn't something I want to go live with. So I scrapped it. I may do kind of an excerpt video. There were some like funny moments in there, but that series is never gonna see the light of day. But what I have been doing is trying to get better. It's really funny because I know how to play XCOM 2. I remember how to play XCOM 2. But it's almost like I'm playing something like Dark Souls where you kind of lose your, you know, muscle memory for the controller after a while. If you don't play a particular game, even though it's all mental and all the knowledge is still in here, I'm out of practice and it matters. It does. I get too aggressive. Like I move forward when I have no business moving forward. And so I just said, look, I need to play. I just need to spend some time playing off camera and try to kind of get my sea legs back. So I actually am playing XCOM 2 right now, and my goal is definitely to make more XCOM videos. So that may involve, you know, a Let's Play series. It may involve guides or some sort of commentary, like the one I did recently. It's sort of a guide, but it's at least as much just sharing an observation I had about the game a long time ago. It's nothing I've ever said, even in a Q&A. But, you know, I had that thought of like, Jesus, these things are mimic beacons. And I think if I could ask Jake Solomon from Firaxis one question, it would literally be, did you guys ever think of it that way? Is that just something that exists in my head, you know? So anyway, So yeah, I played last night. That's a very long-winded answer to a very short question from Jonathan. I think it's probably pronounced Solte or Sciolte, but thank you for the question. DK, let's play for fun. Asks, how am I? I am doing well, thank you. I am not going to lie. I was very nervous immediately prior to coming on. Pretty much from the time I woke up this morning. But as is often the case, once I start doing a thing I'm nervous about, I'm not nervous anymore. Laser Trip T800 asks if I'll ever do an XCOM 2 Long War. I'm not really a big one for saying never or always for that matter, but it's extremely unlikely. I have tried Long War. It was okay, but a mission got bugged pretty early. Like I was maybe on my 4th mission or something like that. But I will tell you, I've said this in previous Q&As and videos, that I don't want a longer war. I never have. If I could make XCOM what I want, in fact, I actually found a mod, and I don't think I have the guts to use this for a series because I think a lot of viewers probably wouldn't like it. But I saw a mod that's exactly what I want from an XCOM 2, which is commander length campaign. It's a shorter campaign, but all the difficulty of legend. So when you're on the battlefield, it's the exact same. But you play fewer missions overall because they have you on the commander timetable. I like that. I only played one campaign on commander, my very first, full-time through. I like it better. I don't want to play 150, 200 missions. That's just not my thing. And when you're recording a series on YouTube, it's brutal, to just post video after video like that. And the series drags on for months and months and months. And so, yeah, I never say never, but I don't see myself doing it. I know a lot of people do really like it, and I would love to make them happy. But there are other people out there who have YouTube channels and they love Long War. And, my thing is like, there's a channel for everything, and I'm not going to be able to do everything. Wow, Robert Corrales, thank you very much for the super chat. My first ever super chat. What happened to the Fallout New Vegas playthrough? You know what? So it's been a long time. It has, as you mentioned. I was having a lot of fun with it. And I've forgotten through the mists of time now. I know I talked about it in a Q&A at the time, but something happened that disrupted my time. It was probably work. Honestly, like, that's why a couple of times in the last couple of years, I've been off for just months. I don't post anything. It's always my work schedule. And there's times I go through stretches where I'm working till, 10 o'clock at night or later every night, working all weekend and stuff. And it's just impossible for me to make videos. So I don't remember the specifics, but something disrupted my ability to play New Vegas. And then when I came back to it, because I did want to record more. That was my intent. It wasn't necessarily to do a full playthrough, but I did want to record more. And just enough time had passed that I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I just couldn't get back in that headspace again. I couldn't kind of find my way in the game. Like I had left off, I was about to enter this town, and I tried going into the town and I couldn't quite work out what I was supposed to be doing. And just my whole feel for the game was gone. And it was a shame because while I always intended it to be a short series, I never intended to do 2 episodes head out. I wanted to do say 5 or so at least. So yeah, but I did try to keep going, just so you know, and I couldn't get any traction on continuing it. Okay, so let me see. Tombot22 asks, he mentions games seem like they're going more into Souls-like territory or being Sims. So he asked me what I think the future is for XCOM-like games. I don't know. I think there will continue to be games that are more or less like XCOM. We just recently had an announcement for Jagged Alliance 3. I don't think you're going to see any radical departure from the formula in that. I think it's going to pretty much be, an XCOM type of game, or maybe a better way to say it is a Jagged Alliance type of game, because Jagged Alliance 2 certainly was a popular tactical strategy game, that predates at least the modern XCOM. What Firaxis will do with XCOM, I don't know. They're really taking a radical departure with the Marvel game, but I kind of expected that, because you don't go out and acquire a license like Marvel and then slap that onto this rock hard, totally unforgiving tactical game. Like you can't do that. You're going to draw an audience with one set of expectations, and you're giving them a very different thing. So, we'll see what happens. I think there will always be a market for this type of game, but I will say this. I know a lot of people are really upset about the deck building aspect of the Marvel game. It's not necessarily my favorite aspect of it either, but one thing you see a lot in board gaming is that, like, someone will develop a certain mechanism. Deck building comes from board gaming. That's one example. And in the early days, the entire game will be built around that one thing. And then what someone else will do down the road is they'll take deck building and they'll incorporate it into a larger game design. I feel like that's what Firaxis is doing, with the Marvel game. My point here, though, is to come back to your question about XCOM and XCOM-like games. You could easily see the XCOM strategy or the XCOM tactical map incorporated into a different framework. So we already have a lot of RPGs that are that way. A lot of Japanese developers make stuff like that, right? Like Bravely Default and Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem, I don't think you can really say the focus is this, but they kind of do that. There's another series, and I've completely blanked, Age of Wonders. Age of Wonders essentially takes Civilization and XCOM and puts the two together, because you have on the big map a Civ type style of gameplay. And then when you go into combat, instead of resolving it the way Civ does, it's very much an XCOM style. Now, for me, I loved the combat part of that game. I didn't necessarily care for the Civ building as much. I think it's a really inferior version of what Civ 5 at least was for my purposes. But anyway, I would not be surprised if you see more of that kind of thing in the future, where people take that tactical layer and see what else they can incorporate it in. Because I think a lot of times we kind of get, and this goes for designers too, we kind of get locked on a path, and it's easy to stay in that rut, but it's really interesting sometimes when you break out of that. Scott Graziano says, the last spell stuff was great. What are you thinking of next? Thank you. First of all, not a ton of people seem like they're interested in the last spell. I freaking love that game. And, I did see they just did a major update, by the way. I may possibly do more last spell later. Probably not right now, but as they continue to develop the game, I would enjoy doing more. But what am I going to do next? I have a lot of ideas swimming in my head, and the biggest bottleneck is time. So I mentioned my work schedule has actually been spiking again lately. That's one of the reasons I've had a hard time uploading a lot recently, but I definitely want to make more XCOM 2 videos. And I want to experiment with different types of things. So for example, I would like to do something for Halloween. I'm not sure if I'll be able to kind of find the thing that works for that. But I'd really like to do something Halloween themed here, coming up. One thing I've toyed with doing is the Guardians of the Galaxy game is coming out. I never play that kind of game, but I do love the Marvel characters, and I would be tempted to do that. I don't know how many of, my viewers would be interested in watching it, but I think it might be fun. And I would just in general like to experiment with different types of videos. I'm not going to get specific because every time I do that, it's the kiss of death. It never ends up working out. But at any rate, definitely some XCOM 2. All right. Johann Schultz asked, did you play any of the XCOM games prior to Enemy Unknown? And the answer to that is a simple no. I never did. And I really struggle when I try to go back to that era. I don't just mean XCOM. I forget what it was, but there was a game I tried a while ago, and it's literally one of these, it shipped with a rule book that was probably this thick, or a manual, I guess I should call it. And I don't have the manual because I'm just buying it off of Steam or GOG or whatever. And it's just, I think it's funny. I started gaming a long time ago, and I read those manuals and I did all that crap, but I have become spoiled by modern games, and they do kind of help walk you through stuff. And I don't know if I have the patience anymore to go back to the old school games from the 90s and stuff where, man, you had to really put in some time and effort to learn how to play. Unseen One 11 asks if I'm going to be making any guides for the last spell or tier lists. What is a tier list? I'm not sure I know what that means. But as far as any guides, I made one on gold, and unfortunately it gets really, really low views. So I had originally planned to do a couple of more guides, but they take me hours, like a lot of time. The way I do guides, I know some people, they just sit out and let it rip. I don't do that. I write out, first I research, make sure I get all of my ducks in a row, every step of the way. Then I write a full script, and then I record, and I edit the hell out of these things. First the audio and then the video. And so it usually takes me at least 10 hours to make, a guide that maybe 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long. So when I do that and I get like 200 views, I'm sorry. Like I can't do it. It's just too disheartening. So I don't need, massive PewDiePie numbers, but I gotta see some interest. And unfortunately, I think the problem is I picked the wrong topic. I shouldn't have done a gold guide. I should have just done like 5 tips to beat last spell, or something like that, but just something more general. But I didn't realize that soon enough. So I may at some point, but I need to see some more interest in the game, because from what I can tell, it's a really small audience. And I'm not just talking about my gold guide, but the views that I got on the Let's Play and what I see other channels getting. I literally searched very recently, and the handful of channels that are still doing videos on last spell, most of them are getting like, 15 views and 20 views on their Let's Plays and stuff. It's really weak. So okay, let's move on. Kales M only recently found your XCOM series from about 4 years ago. Oh, okay. It's not really a question, but anyway, she just says she really enjoyed watching the videos. Thank you. Listen, I never get tired of hearing that. It's always really nice to hear that people enjoy watching these videos. It is a labor of love for me. I certainly have not gotten rich off the channel, and it is very much about sharing, my time playing the game. And to the extent other people let you know that they really enjoyed it and, you know, it meant something to them, that is literally what makes the channel worth doing. At least for me. Okay. Comrade Skeever asked, do you plan on bringing back intros for your Let's Play vids? So there's two kinds of intros, and I'm not sure I know which one you mean. One, the simple and easy one, I used to just play this tiny little like 5-second clip of music, and it had my logo and it would say solving games one video at a time, I think was the tagline. And then the other, which I only did for one Let's Play, and I think this may be what you mean, is for my 4th season of XCOM 2, I would play the mission all the way through, edit the video and everything, and then I would record, you know, maybe a 30-second or minute-long introduction to it. I really got a kick out of doing that, but by the end of that series, I was really struggling to think of what to say, because after a while you go, yep, in this episode, you know, we try to play this timed mission and oh boy, it comes right down to the end. It gets very samey. And so it is a challenge to come up with new things to say. But I did have fun with it. There was one in particular, I literally spent at least 3 hours recording this like minute and a half, thing because of everything I put into it. It didn't take me that long to record it. It was all the editing I did and the stuff I added in. And I think maybe one person even ever left a comment commenting on it, like saying they enjoyed it, but I thought it was freaking hilarious. I loved it. And so it was worth it to me to put that time in. But anyway, it's a ton of work to do, and most series won't hold up to it. There's just nothing new to say each time. So it is an idea that I like, and I was very happy with it for that one series, but I would need to see the potential for each episode to be different enough that it would make sense to do it. Oh man. Okay. I'm very sorry because I don't know how to pronounce this name and I don't want to butcher it. So I'm just going to say Mr. Person because I'm pretty sure I can correctly pronounce your surname at least. As if I've tried Phoenix Point recently, and I haven't. I don't know that I'll ever try Phoenix Point again. I know they've done a ton of updates to it. So it could be a very different game than I remember. I just really did not have a good time when I was playing it. It started off as meh for me, and the more I played, the less I liked it. It reached a point where I began to actively dislike it. And obviously, it's hard to get excited about playing a game that you feel that way about. So Simon Myers asks if I've ever beaten XCOM on Legendary Ironman. Yeah, that's pretty much the only way I play. I don't always turn on Ironman, just so you understand. I do that for 2 reasons. One, because bugs. I literally one time got in a situation where I had to like Google a way to get out of a mess. One of my characters got stuck on terrain. She had fallen through like the floor on one level and landed on a piece of equipment or something. And I couldn't move her. The game wouldn't let me do that. And so, I had to look up. I didn't even know this was a thing that existed, but that's how I learned about console commands and stuff. So anyway, I always worry about bugs with XCOM. And then the other thing is that when I make guides and stuff, it is hugely helpful for me to have saves on different missions and stuff. And so having those save points that I can go back to, it's just huge for me. But I always treat it like it's Iron Man. Like I don't sit there and lose a guy or get wounded or something and be like, oh, screw that crap. No, we keep playing. So yes, I have beaten XCOM 2 on Legend Iron Man multiple times. And at least the first 2 times I didn't even do what they call Honest Man. Like it was legitimately said on Iron Man. Pinky Lizaraga asks, Darkest Dungeon 2 is coming soon. Are you going to try it? Oh, you bet your buppy I'm going to try it. Yeah, 100%. I really like Darkest Dungeon. I think there's people that just play and play and play and play, and I can't do that. The game gets a little too grindy for me. Off camera, I once made the mistake of playing whatever, I don't remember the names of the different modes now. But the higher level of difficulty, which makes no difference when you're in the dungeon. The only thing it does is restrict who you can bring. So, like the easier dungeons or the lower level dungeons, it's one level lower cutoff. And I was like, that's fine. But holy crap, I did not realize the extent to which that would keep me from being able to, what ends up happening is you have to bring a Vestal to almost every one. So your Vestals keep out leveling the others. And then you need to level up your Jester and, your Highwayman and whomever. And you can't bring a Vestal because you don't have one. So now you have to start a new one and you have to start another new one. And I was literally deleting Vestals just because I didn't have the roster spots. So anyway, I love Darkest Dungeon, but I can't play it like every day of the week or anything, but like some people, but I'm 100% in on Darkest Dungeon 2, really looking forward to it. And, you will see it on the channel. Johan asks again, I love your voice. Have you ever used it for commercials or something similar? No, not really. YouTube is as close as I've come to that. And that's probably going to be, the reality is this, if I talk for too long, I will get hoarse. Like I can already feel it right now. In fact, excuse me while I take a quick drink. If I tried to do something like professional voiceover work and they wanted me to come into a studio, work for hours on end, that would be very difficult for me. And I don't think I would hold up to it. Simon Meyer says, you sound like you do a lot of work. What do you do for a job? Yeah, I run the accounting and finance department for a property management company. And we have grown tremendously the past few years. We've almost exactly doubled. And on top of that, a couple years in a row, we've had like a key person leave right as we're starting our busiest time of year. We also like switched to new software and stuff. So we've just, I'm not going to sit here and bore the hell out of everybody with my sorrows at work. But we've had some kind of extraordinary circumstances that have kept me really hopping. Honestly, like a lot of the time, I've been there for a number of years now, and a lot of the time it's a 9-to-5 job. I can kind of work 8 hours and go home. But boy, we've gone through some periods here in the last few years where it's really tough to keep up. So next question, do you play board games? I haven't been lately. I do really like board games though. You can't see it from this angle, but I have a shelf over that way that has some of my games on it. I have most of my collection downstairs because we play on the dining room table when we play. But yeah, I do play and I like them. If you asked me what my favorite game was, it would Ticket to Ride is a more casual, easy game, but it's one I enjoy a lot. I also really love Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, and sadly you can't buy that anymore, and a number of other games. Stephen Reeder asks if I've ever played Battle Brothers. Yes, I have. In fact, there's 2 full playlists on the channel. If you are interested, I would watch the second, unless you want to watch me get my ass handed to me. And then the first one's pretty good. But I got very frustrated during that playthrough. Battle Brothers is one of the games I would definitely say I had the hardest time wrapping my mind around. Even by the time I finished the second series, I was marginally good at it, or marginally acceptable might be a better way to put it. I would never call myself good at that game, but I would say I was almost embarrassed by my showing in my first season, and I definitely did better my second time around. Left World 333 asks if I know Project Zomboid. I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't think I'm familiar with that one. If I've ever looked it up, then it didn't make a big enough impression. And Simon Myers asks if I think there will be an XCOM 3. That's a really good question. Because up until recently, I would have said, are you kidding? Of course there'll be an XCOM 3. I wonder if this Marvel game is a really big hit. Let's just, for the sake of this discussion, let's say that it is. It finds a big audience. That'll sell a lot more than XCOM, because XCOM sells, we know that, but it doesn't sell big numbers. Like, this isn't Call of Duty, this isn't something ridiculously huge. And let's say Firaxis now has a franchise that does move huge numbers, and it's Jake Solomon and his team that developed it. And they have been the custodians of XCOM this whole time, since Firaxis started making it. Will 2K, their publisher and corporate owner, greenlight another XCOM game? I don't know. In the near future. Now, that's the pessimistic view. Another way to look at it is Firaxis, Jake Solomon is not the only designer at Firaxis. And on the Civilization side of the Firaxis fence, they've long had a practice that you are lead designer on one Civ game, and then you move on and someone else picks up the baton. Because basically that person put all their best ideas into the one game, and then they give somebody else a chance to bring their take to it. And that's one reason why the Civ games do change fairly significantly. Like, they feel different. Civ 5 and Civ 6 feel very different. Sadly for me, I loved Civ 5 and I was so looking forward to 6. And when it came out, I hated it. I played one game and I couldn't wait for it to be over so I could stop playing. If I hadn't been playing for the channel, I wouldn't have finished it. That's how bad it was for me. I know there's a lot of people who love it. So my point here is they could have someone besides Jake. They could have other people work on it, right? So my guess is, yes, there will be an XCOM 3, but when? I'm a little worried now. I kept thinking we were going to get an announcement any day, but if it comes, no way I believe it'll happen in 2022. I doubt it'll be 2023. So I think we're looking at years from now before we see one. Robert Seymour asks if Door Kickers is on my radar at all. It's not XCOM turn-based, but possible real-time. Might be up your alley. It is not. You're making me curious, at least. I will check it out. I should do that for both this and Project Zomboid. By the way, that is one thing I will tell you. If you ever leave me a comment, I always do this. I will at least look at any game people suggest. Now, in many cases, I've already looked at it and I know I don't want to. It's just not a game for me. I'm honestly way too fussy to have a YouTube channel where I game. I really do feel that way a lot of times because I get really picky, but I will totally check it out. There are games like Freedom Force was a superhero game, very good tactical combat, but it was real time and it was meant for you to pause. And I loved that game. It was really good. I would love a Freedom Force proper sequel, but we'll never get one. Wow, Gothic Kitty Madness. How come you use the Autism logo as part of your logo? I am not aware that I've ever done that. So if you're telling me that the puzzle head thing has been used or that something like that has been used by an autism group, that is news to me because it was just something that I found on a site that sells art. And I was looking for something that denoted the idea of solving. And that was a good fit. And that's why I bought it. And that's why I use it. But I'm not aware of any connection whatsoever to autism. Next question. Your XCOM 2 guides. Oh, well, that's not a question. Sorry. He's just saying he got better at the game from watching them. Thank you. It means a lot. It really does. Not only to hear people enjoy the Let's Plays, but when people tell me, because I know XCOM can be a really frustrating experience. I mentioned I discovered Let's Plays because when I was doing Enemy Unknown, man, I freaking needed help. So once I learn a game like that, I'm happy to pass on what I know, and I hope it helps other people. So it's always good to hear. There are some really cool XCOM 2 mods that would make the franchise fresh to revisit. Are you considering it? All right, 1 second. Yes. You probably weren't here when I first started the stream. I did mention earlier, I've been playing XCOM 2 off camera. I do tend to not use a lot of actual gameplay mods. I really like the ones that are more quality of life or cosmetics. What I found in the past, season 4, which is the one where I used a better advent, and I really enjoyed that. But I know a couple times I've recommended that playlist to people because I personally think that's the best Let's Play series I've ever produced from many different angles. But I've recommended it a couple of times to people and they're like, yeah, that one's modded. And, so it's funny because mods are one of those things that some people really like that you're playing a modded campaign and then it's a straight turnoff to others. But I will say that at some point I will look at that. So Marcos Aurelio also mentions that he learned a lot from my XCOM 2 videos. So thank you, Marcos. I am really happy to hear that. Road XLX, do a covert infiltration Let's Play. Well, it could happen. Laughing gas, can you be my gamer grandpa? I suppose I probably already am. Let's see. Neil Peterson. I don't know if there's a question in here, but I do get a kick out of the first part. Your short vids for XCOM 2 have kept me from throwing the game in the trash. It's super hard, but everybody here knows that. Plus, it's cool to put a face to the voice. Very good. Thank you, Neil. I'm glad. And Ali kind of makes a similar comment. Thank you very much. Wow, that's so funny. So just several comments in a row saying it's good to see the face behind the voice. Yeah, listen, thank you very much for that. I cannot tell you how much anxiety I had about doing that. For a long time, I never intended to go on camera, partly because I never thought it added anything to the experience. I would see other people use face cams and I felt like either they were kind of sitting there like a lump, or they were very fake, at least to my eye, like over the top reactions, just for the sake of kind of like the stereotypical thumbnail, right? Like, you know, you won't believe what I saw, you know, kind of crap. And I never wanted to be that. But I was, you didn't ask, but I'm just going to share this. I've been, you know, I watch videos about how to grow your channel, how to make better videos and stuff. I try to learn, I try to grow. And one of the pieces of advice that I heard pretty consistently was you need to be a human being to your audience to, you know, for them to feel a connection with you. And part of that is seeing you. And that made some sense to me, but I still was very reluctant. So anyway, what I did is I recorded some videos that I never had any intention of uploading. The surprise to me is that where I often feel, this is just me personally, I often feel that my voice can be more monotone than I want it to be. And I hate that. I try to be more expressive, but it's very difficult when you're recording and you are thinking about the game and all these things at once. And then it's like, am I being funny enough? Am I being, you know, am I varying my pitch? You know, it's hard to keep all that crap in your head, and especially past the first 30 seconds of the video. So, what I found though is that my face can often be more expressive than my voice. And the other thing is that even just watching the video myself, it felt more like this person is talking to me, like it's a conversation and not just this disembodied voice. And I was really surprised by that. So even though I still kind of didn't want to do it, at that point, I believed a lot of my videos will be better if I do this. And that for me trumps my anxiety factor, because I am all about trying to make the best videos that I can for people. So I am glad that at least some people like it. And I am going to continue. I don't know that I'm going to put it in my guides because it just feels really out of place in most of that. But in my Let's Plays, I think I will mostly be using it. And in other types of videos, like this is a natural thing to go on camera for. Moose, what a great YouTube name. Moose Neater asked, will you be continuing with the Mutant Zero DLC? Yes. In fact, I wanted to do that already. I really did. I started recording it, and then my work schedule went nuts and I never uploaded it. And I think I only got 1 or 2 parts recorded. If I ever get time again, which I will, I shouldn't be overly dramatic about it. It'll happen. But when the day comes, I will just start over because I don't remember anything anymore. You know what I mean? It's like I would just have to start over, but I totally want to do it. M1A2 Abrams Tuss asks, hello, Tapcat. What are your PC specs? Have you encountered major lag for XCOM? I remember that it used to be horrible for optimization. So I'm only going to give you the real highlights on my PC. It has an AMD Ryzen 3950X, I believe is the chip. It's more for video editing than it is, you know, for playing the games. That's why you need that many cores. But I also have a 1080 Ti, which is getting a little long in the tooth. But if you've looked at specs for graphics cards, or excuse me, prices for graphics cards lately, then you know they are completely insane. I am not going to pay $2,000 to buy a 3080, and they're pretty close to that. So I do have a powerful PC. It isn't the most powerful you could build today, especially on the video card side. And yes, XCOM 2 is still horribly optimized for PC, and I believe every other platform. I've heard from a number of console players that it is really tough on them. Simon Myers asks, do you find the concept of permadeath in a game you can save and reload a bit pointless? No, I don't. I like it. And I think giving people, listen, I'm always big on options. And if you choose to, and this is really what I recommend. If you're playing XCOM and somebody dies, let them die. Keep playing. Just keep playing. I'm not saying you're wrong if you do it any other way, but I think you'll become a better player that way. And ultimately your win will be more satisfying. At the same time, like, hell, if somebody has a squad wipe and they reload, I don't blame them. Okay, I'm going to read this. It's not a question, but it's pretty funny. Neil Peterson says, yeah, you should do commercial voiceover, maybe slinging hemorrhoid cream or earwax kits. 100%. Listen, I actually thought at one point about doing a fake commercial for something like hemorrhoid cream because I just think crap like that is hilarious. But I would probably spend 20 hours on it, and I don't have that kind of time. Worst Tuna says, can you please keep your content 4K? So here's the problem. I don't have a 4K monitor anymore. I swapped out to a dual monitor setup a while ago, and they're 1440p. So I don't record something like Last Spell in 1440p because it is completely irrelevant. There's not enough detail in that game to really do any justice to 1080p. Like, you could record that in 480, and I don't think people would be able to tell the difference. But when I record something like XCOM 2, I will 100% use 1440p and give you that extra detail. But I am really sorry. I don't have a 4K setup anymore, because what I found is after really the one season of XCOM 2, nothing I was playing really benefited from it. So yeah, that was really the big limiting factor. Jack Richards asked if I've tried Phantom Doctrine. It's XCOM, but with spies. I have. I didn't really care for it a ton. I didn't dislike the game, but it didn't really grab me enough that I wanted to, keep going and play through to the end. So yeah, M1A2 Abrams says, if you weren't aware, there was a recent leak from an internal Nvidia list that listed a game called XCOM 3. But this is not a definitive proof that XCOM 3 is coming. So yes, I am aware of that. And this is the problem with that list. Nvidia straight up said that these are not games that they've been told about. It includes titles that were purely speculative. Like, they included Nintendo games that are never going to come to PC. So it doesn't really mean literally anything. It could mean that Nvidia was told that XCOM 3 is coming, but it could also just literally be a name that somebody at Nvidia threw on the list for a good time. Marcos Aurelio asks if I've ever played Warhammer 2. So do you mean Total War Warhammer 2? Because I don't think I know of another one. At any rate, I haven't. And what's bad is I think I even bought it. But I will say this. So I have tried Total War a couple of times. I really don't like the combat, is what it comes down to. I'm not a big real-time strategy person to begin with. And there's something about their real-time strategy in particular that I just don't like. And, as with all these things, I'm not saying that makes it a bad game. It just does not go down well with me. Pinky Lizaraga mentions that Humankind came out recently and I should check it out. if Civ 6 left me disappointed. Yeah, you're right. I literally bought it and it's sitting in my Steam. I guess you could call it my pile of shame. I do want to play it. You know what's just really hard with these Civ games is that, Jesus, the learning curve. You have to put a lot of hours in, and it's just hard for me to do that right now. But I would like to play it. And Idris Azim just mentions that he's been watching a lot of XCOM 2 from my playlist, and he's currently on my third playthrough with Shen's Last Gift. Thank you. I'm really glad that you're enjoying it. And one of the things I love about YouTube as opposed to Twitch is that history of what we all have done is right there for you, you know? So if you find a channel and you really like it, it's so easy to go back and, you know, enjoy the hours and hours of videos that they've saved to the channel. Whereas on Twitch, Jesus, it's bad. Like there are even people that I used to watch, and I hardly ever go to Twitch, you know, but I would be like, hey, you know, I haven't watched him in forever, and let me go look at his channel. And then I get there and it's almost impossible for me to even find the freaking video on demand side. They just make it as difficult as possible. So anyway, I'm really happy whenever somebody new finds the channel and, you know, that those videos are there for you. And then a number of people just kind of saying hi and thank you. So thank you for that. I'm going to try and... Let's see. Neil Peterson says, my favorite old school PC game was Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Is there anything like that for PlayStation or Xbox? I don't think so, honestly. Hey, listen, I'm sure there's something. Gears Tactics, that's nothing like that. That's more like XCOM. No, I'm not aware of a Civ game, a true Civ style game, which Alpha Centauri is. I know it's not part of the Civilization series, but it's in that mold. I don't even know of something that plays like that on console. I think most people believe that that control scheme really only works on PC. I love Duster von Sisto. Now I want Tapcat to make a clickbait thumbnail. Wow. I totally think about that sometimes, but does anybody really need to see my face blown up on the cover of a thumbnail of, like, you know, or whatever? And I would have to get my wife to take the photo, and it would be embarrassing enough just doing it by myself. I don't know if I could bear to have anybody see it. Vlad, I'm not going to try your last name, buddy. I'm sorry. I'll just butcher it. But Vlad asks, thanks for the XCOM 2. What do you think of the recent Jagged Alliance 3 announcement? So, at first I was very excited. And I don't know anything about the game, so it may come out really good. That's my hope. But I will tell you this. It's made by the same developer. Same developer as Tropico 5. And I played that for the channel. And of all the games I've ever played for the channel and uploaded a Let's Play, I have never had to push harder to force myself to finish. Man, I could not get away from that thing fast enough. So knowing that the same team is working on that really scares me. And it's a very different type of game. It may come out and be amazing. And even if I don't like it, other people may think it's fantastic. But I'm not going to lie, that took a lot of the wind out of my sails when I saw that. Okay, so it's almost 10 o'clock. I wanted to do this for an hour, so I'm going to start wrapping this up. And I see Johan is saying he has to go as well. Anyway, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Okay, let me answer a few more questions though. So Comrade Skeever asked what kind of music I like. It's pretty varied, but it does tend to be older. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to live up to the stereotype of a grumpy old man who can't stand any new music. I don't begrudge anybody anything they want to listen to, but I don't personally care for hip hop. I just don't. I like a very few. It's really funny. Like there's one guy, and I think most people have never heard of him. His name is Wax. And I love a few of his songs, and he's hip hop, but like all the big names, I can't stand any of them. I just don't like their music. It's not personal. You know, I don't have a beef with Tupac or something, or anybody who's current, like Drake or whoever. I just don't care for it. And what happens is, I think, honestly, well, you know what? No need to go down that rabbit hole. So what do I actually like? I like all kinds of stuff. So there are classical music songs I enjoy. There are country music songs I enjoy. Heavy metal, I love, like 80s heavy metal. Almost all kinds of stuff from the 70s, you know, whether it's pop or Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd may actually be my favorite band of all time. That's a really tough competition. You know, there's a lot of bands and a lot of, even just like some people, they'll have one song and I just love it to death. And I don't like anything else in their catalog. So I like a lot of different kinds of music, but admittedly, it does tend to be old. Yeah, Justo Von Sisto, console XCOM is horrendous. Honestly, that's what I always hear. New Nuarthus. I saw you chill AF bumping into an army of gatekeepers plus sectopods on sprint actions. I don't think anything can surprise you enough to make a clickbaity thumbnail. Yeah, you know, it's not that I don't get surprised, but I don't know. I handle it. That's all I can say. Because I think part of it is I'm just very pragmatic, and panicking in XCOM is not how you win. Okay. So Alta Silencia says, as I recall, you weren't a big fan of Long War. Any chance you'd like to elaborate on what you didn't like about it? You know what? It isn't really anything specific other than, one, I had a game-breaking bug. I got trapped in a building and couldn't get out. Two, I don't want to play 150 or 200 missions. I just don't. So that's really my number one beef with Long War. It isn't that they didn't make a good game or a good mod. It's that I don't want the nature of what they did. Excuse me. Adrian Hildebrandt asks, greetings from Germany. Guten Tag. I hope I said that correctly, and I'm not telling you to go F yourself or anything. Do you know Warhammer Hereticus? I don't think so, but I have looked at a couple of Warhammer games. I know there was one, I believe it had a different name that I played, which I sort of liked, but not enough to do a series on. So I would have to look that one up. Chemical Imbalance asks if it would be possible to get his name as one of the squad members in a future XCOM campaign. You know, I know a lot of people really like that. I don't know. I have done that in the past, at least once. It kind of takes me out of the game is the problem. It's not that I begrudge, you know, giving a viewer a little moment in the spotlight or anything. But like in the one season that I vividly remember, I felt so bad when one of the viewers' characters got killed. And, you know, it sounds stupid, but I really did. Like I felt like I had betrayed them in some way. Also, there is something about it where it kind of messes with my head. Like I'll end up with a female character named John or something because I don't have enough men and most of my viewers are men, you know. And it just screws with my head when I'm in the middle of playing, and it keeps pulling me out of the game. So on one level, I love doing it. Like, I love to make people happy. So I always want to say yes, but then while I'm playing, it ends up really kind of pulling me out of the moment a lot. So, let's see. I'm not sure. Grim All Malky is asking, thanks for XCOM 2 and War of the Chosen. Until now, I'm playing it on console. Any chance to upgrade to PS5? I'm not sure what you're asking me. If you're asking, do I think they'll issue a patch to specifically make it perform better on XCOM 5, or excuse me, on PS5, I suspect they won't. And I say that just because Firaxis in general has really been poor at supporting their games on a technical level. Okay, I'm going to start skimming through to the end here because we're at 1 hour and 5 minutes, and I really wanted to keep this down to an hour. I do hate to, cut anybody off. Noah Clayman asks, what made me decide to do a face reveal? So Noah, if you watch, when this stream finishes, there'll be a video version of it on the channel. Watch from the beginning, because I spent a lot of time talking about my decision to do Facecam and what led up to that. Age of Empires 4 is coming. What do I think about that? That's from Worst Tuna. I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big real-time strategy player, but I will tell you, I will 100% at least look at that and see if it's something that I could do. Omar Cruz is saying just to thank me. It's why he jumped on. Listen, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. I'm glad that you got a lot out of my videos. Patrick, greetings from Slovakia. Thank you. Thank you. Greetings to you as well. Okay. Zen asked me if I've played Fallout Tactics. I believe Fallout Tactics, it's funny. Earlier I mentioned that I really struggle with older games when I try to go back and play them, and I couldn't think of the one that I had tried, and that is it. I downloaded it, I believe, from Steam, and without the manual or anything, I just really struggled, not with the tactics, but to play, to figure out, like, what do I click on here? What do I do? And so it really kept me from starting, honestly. So I have only ever heard good things about Fallout Tactics, so I'm not dogging the game. I just didn't get a chance to, to give it a try when it was new, and now it's tough. Chemical Balance says, I hope your cat is doing well. He is. In fact, he was in here eating a few minutes ago. I don't know if he's behind me now or not, because he's way too quiet. So Les, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but he says, have you ever considered playing Invisible Ink? Yes, I have, and I have played Invisible Ink. I just haven't done it on the channel. So, I almost liked it, is the best way I can say it. There's something about stealth being your goal that is just less satisfying to me than killing aliens or shooting stuff. But yeah, I did play it. I thought it was a fine game. And I tried it twice, actually. And I may even try it again because everybody keeps telling me how good it is. And like I say, I almost connected with it, but not quite. This is a pretty funny comment from Pranav. My dad is probably younger than you, yet he doesn't play any video games. Sad trombone. Yeah, listen, not everybody does. I literally started playing games when I was, I don't know, in my teens maybe, or preteens. And that was kind of very early on when games started to exist, video games. Like my parents, Jesus, I shouldn't admit this on camera. I don't know how many years it was after the original came out, but my parents bought a clone of Pong. And that was my first experience video gaming. Now, this is before the internet and all kinds of stuff. And so, Christ, for all I know, that was 10 years after Pong. I don't even know. But at any rate, I played Pong, or a clone of it. I played Asteroids and Space Invaders in the arcade, so, but not everybody did that, so some people are into it. Some people don't. All right. Well, listen, everybody. Oh, last question from Grim. Did you try Mutant Zero? Yes. And I have a playlist on the channel, which I recommend. I actually was pretty happy with how that one turned out. Ooh, okay. I'm going to call it here. Because I am kind of wearing out my voice here, and I have gone longer than I had originally meant to. But let me just say thank you all so much for coming today. I was mildly terrified that I would start this stream and hear the crickets, basically. So it's really gratifying to see that people cared enough to come and share their Saturday morning with me. And that also gives me the drive to do it again, right? Because if you set one of these up and like 2 people show, you're really grateful to the 2 people, but you say maybe there was a more fruitful way for me to spend that time. So I very much appreciate every single person who showed up today. And we will do it again. And yes, in answer to somebody who just said, Billy said, hope to see more playthroughs soon. You will see more playthroughs. You will see more of a variety of content as I have time to do it. Because as I mentioned earlier, my work schedule is the key factor. However, that is all for now. So thank you for watching. I hope we see you next time.